What's going on, traders? Welcome back to Start Swing Trading, where we go ahead and get to the swing trading setups and, of course, bring on traders that you guys want to hear from. We look for all the traders out there that are definitely into swing trading. So if you guys know a trader out there and you guys want to see them on this show right here, well, you have an opportunity, right? Let us know. Like always, you guys can hit the comments after the show. If there's anybody you want to see, I'll go ahead and reach out. I'm already filling up multiple spots here. I'm going to try to bring on certain guests weekly, certain guests bi-weekly. I'm going to do my best to go ahead and get us as good of a session from all around, right? Swing traders that look at relative strength, swing traders that like contrarian trades. We're going to take a look all around the different parts of the market and see what we can find, right? Like always, this is going to be with a little grain of salt. You always want to go ahead and do your own research. This is not for you guys to copy swing trades, but for you guys to learn how we approach them. Let's get to the action. Let's take a look at the SPY. We talked about this morning. Would we just stay within the hourly range? Well, it looks like we are within that hourly range. And one thing that I can see here is now we have our three bottoms. So if anything, this looks like a bullish setup for a breakout on the SPY. And so that's where I got to be a little bit careful on the swing trades that I'm taking now, because it does look like we might get that SPY breakout. And if we do get that SPY breakout, where are we going from there? Is it 420? Is it 430? It could continue higher. And so got to be careful when I'm taking swing trades. One thing that I think traders don't do often is what? Is really look at what the overall market environment is showing us. So that's one thing that we definitely want to keep on play. So we got to keep this one on watch, right? We'll look to see if we get back above 415. And now that we've had that last bottoming action towards the 408, I don't expect to see the 408s break now. If the 408s break now, I think we'd come back towards the 400 range. Now, if we do get back above the 415, I think the SPY overall can keep running, and that's the rule of three. Today, I actually was trading this within the range, and I did get stopped out on some swing trades. We're going to talk a little bit about that coming up right now. And then, of course, we'll have our guest today. We have a great guest, Christian Fromhertz, going to be joining us from Tribeca Trade Group. If you guys haven't checked out Tribeca Trade Group, I would definitely tell you to check it out. Christian is one of the best traders out on Twitter right now. I definitely say that if you look around, one of the things that I love about Christian is he's consistent, right? And he focuses on where the strength is going. We'll talk to him in a little bit at 3:30. All right, let's take a look at what's going on. We'll take a look into the market, of course, what was hot and what was not. You guys smashed the like. It looks like we got about 61 of you guys. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep pushing forward here. Let's get towards the next outlook here. Let's get to the stocks that stopped me out today, and we'll take a look at the biggest movers on the day before we do that. So let's just look in the SPY, see what were the biggest movers on the overall market. You can see Tesla there, 7.48% from the open, getting the push back into the 200s. We'll talk a little bit about my Tesla swing coming up. And also, I know that Christian wants to talk about Tesla, so we'll see what his outlook is there. Let's keep going. Let's take a look at some other stocks that were leading the SPY today. APTV, an auto parts game. Auto parts getting the nice little lift here, APTV, and it's pulled back a significant amount. This one actually looks really good for me. We're going to take a look at this. Don't look at auto parts too often, but definitely could see that bottoming action. You came right back towards the swing high, right? Back towards the high here. This is going to be 122.28. We'll look to see if we get through that level. We went to 122.27, backed off of it. Let's see if we get back through that level. APTV. And then we have Solar Edge that had earnings today. That's not looking too bad right now. That's trying to get back up there. We'll look to see if it can continue making lift here. Definitely solar names, we're getting a little bit of a push today. And overall, still in the red, but from the open, still staying strong. That's why I'm not shorting First Solar today. I had a feeling, if SEGG was doing bad today, I would take that swing short on First Solar, but not what we're seeing. So I'm not going to go ahead and battle into First Solar today, even though I feel like eventually this could be a trend that could break down through that 160. All right, we'll see what happens on those solar names. Let's keep going. Let's get back to the SPY and see any other leading stocks that we want to kind of mention. NVIDIA continuing higher. Wouldn't you know that the semiconductor is still staying strong, even though this was an area that most weren't expecting to be strong out the gates. A lot of people were expecting the semiconductors and the bigger companies to struggle on their earnings, right? Well, that's not what's happened as of late. And look at that 9 EMA still holding clear here in NVIDIA. So until that breaks, I'm not going to get in front of that train. It's been really strong and can continue running. GEHC, GE Healthcare stock continuing higher. This one actually started the year when it got spun off on the 4th, has continued higher since then, and it's up about 25% for the year. Doesn't look too bad. You guys can also see how it's affecting GE. GE continuing higher. Big push there. We'll see what happens if it can get through that 84 spot and continue pushing higher. SPY overall, there's a lot of stocks that we're having a nice up move today. MPWR, look at this 500 holding. This looks like it wants to continue to run. We'll see what happens there. On semiconductor, this one's been already a strong stock, but now continuing. Micron is one that I'm going to go ahead and put on the radar. If we are going to be making this big move up, let's say towards the 220s on the SPY, right? Or let's say if we do get up there towards the 420s on the SPY. I don't know why I said 220s. But if you take a look there, Micron is one that I would keep on watch, right? NVIDIA was able to come back with all its worries. Micron has put in some bottoming action, right? Are we going to start pushing back here towards the 65? Looks like we put in a bottom right underneath 60 today towards like 59.75. If you want, you could draw it down there towards 59. Let's see if it starts coming back towards 64. And if the semis are going to stay strong, this is one we're actually going to put on the radar. I'm even writing this one down to keep it on the radar. I'm not going to take it right now because I got to wait for the reaction, because we'll see if this can continue making moves. But it's not a bad looking chart, at least for right now. All right, catching up with the chat. What's going on out there, team? How we doing? Looks like we have a couple of the loyal followers, like always, right in here. We got Dylan, Easy Mike. What's going on out there? Jay Rice. We got Trey Mustache. What's going on in there, team? Hit the like. RJ, what are you looking at? Enphase? Keep Enphase in alert. Let's take a look there. Enphase is down there towards 206. If it breaks 200, though, will it completely let go? Are you guys looking at EMPH in the bullish sense and the bearish sense? I'd love to hear it in the chat. I see you guys talking about it. For me, First Solar, especially if EMPH continues to drop like that, I could see First Solar dropping through the 160s, coming back maybe towards the 150. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's continue going. Let's get towards some different stocks out there. I want to go ahead and go into the swing trades that I was looking at, right? Then we have about 20 minutes that we can go ahead and take a look at some new trades. Let's go talk about the ones that I got stopped out today. And like always, one thing that I want to be clear and transparent on, team, is that when I make a mistake in these swing trades, I'm also going to let you know. Why? Because we can always learn from mistakes, right? And we want to go ahead and take an approach and understanding where we make mistakes so that we can make improvements. Well, today was one of those days where I adjusted my original stop spot, adjusted my risk. Maybe it was because of the environment. Maybe it was because whatever was going on. It doesn't really matter. But by adjusting that risk, I got stopped out in a position where I really, truly should have had good gains in. I think this is very important to kind of catch, right? We want to go ahead and catch when we make mistakes. And in this one, it was changing the predetermined risk level. And why? Probably because I wasn't comfortable with that risk. I think that's one of the hardest things of swing trading is you really got to kind of hold to those levels. And when you go really quickly towards the risk side, you could lose out on a trade. That trade to me was on SHOP. All right, you guys know I got in this yesterday, and that's how it happens. Sometimes you're going to get stopped out, right? On SHOP, just to give you in perspective, I didn't necessarily lose much on the trade. I lost a couple of pennies, and it really wasn't much totaled up, but I was uncomfortable. I didn't want to see it break through the 48 level. And you guys can see here, I'll show you guys that right now. Shop this morning was setting up what? It was setting up great. We were in this from 48.30s, and we were looking for the push back to 50. In the pre-market, we got to 49.95. So I was looking for that 50 move to sell majority of the position and then continue trying to work this up. Well, you guys can see right out the gates, we started to bounce up a little bit. We were in the kind of the 49s, and I could have taken profits even there, but I was looking for the 50. Right? I like to at least get a 2-for-1 on my first profits, then look for 3-to-1, 4-to-1 on these swing trades, right? Well, shop went and triggered me through that 48, 47.94, stopping me out when the original stop was down towards what? The original stop was a buck down from the entry, about 48.30 34 was the entry. So I was going to risk down there towards around the 47.41. If I would have done that and stayed to that risk, would have been able to get that profit right back up there and then look for the lift higher, right? And I think that that's an important thing to kind of keep in mind. Sometimes you are going to get stopped out of these trades. The key is we need to understand, do we need to adjust the stop? In my case here, I think it was definitely a misexecution that stopped me out of this trade. It happens, team. It happens to us all. All right, we'll see what happens in shop if it can continue making moves, but I did get stopped out of this one. GS is one that I took the very smallest tiny loss on this one. I actually pretty much break even. It's like a couple pennies there when it broke the 76. Yesterday, we got in this one at 76.10. It looked really good, right? That's how swing trades are going to be. They're going to start looking good, and then they could pull back and stop us out. My biggest thing is I didn't give the risk there in General Mills back towards the downside on that action because a lot of that was just what we were seeing in the market. In the market, it didn't appreciate the value moves this morning. I know they were starting to get some appreciation. GIS is starting to come back towards the close and back above 76. We can keep looking at it. But for right now, it looks like it's starting to pull back. All right, we'll see what happens there in General Mills. Let's keep going. Did get stopped out in that one. Let's go to the one that's working right now. UNG working right now. Where's my natty gas traders in the chat? Throw up some likes in the chat. Throw up some natty gas. What are you guys trading? Boyle or UNG? Which one do you like more? All right, well, I took UNG, and it's been a while now, right? I've been watching this fully develop, was looking for a close back towards 9 to show some confirmation. Risk is off to 791. We're averaged in towards 847, pretty much underneath the middle of this, which isn't too bad. I definitely would be wanting to be closer towards 825, but I did get a smaller first entry, right? I got into like the 70s with that first entry, was able to average down towards the 47s. We'll look to see if we get it through 9 and 10. I'm definitely trying to get it back there towards the 9. If we can get above that 9, I think we could get a spike where we get a spike there towards like 10 or maybe 980s, taking first profits around that area, 980 to 10. And then I can let the rest of the trade work, break even. I love to let trades work, break even, and not just run to that last little bit of runner. A very big example of this is in Tesla right now. We'll see what happens in that natural gas trade. I see you guys in the chat talking about it, and it's been a while, right? I know a lot of people are looking at that natty gas trade. We'll see what's going on here. All right, let me just close up some windows. Looks like my internet's not being the best right now, so I'm just trying to close up some windows here. Make sure that we're going to be good for the show. Let's go, team. All right, just closing up some windows. There you go. Chrome, unfortunately, Chrome loves to take up all my computer and then just start kind of driving the internet down. Look to see if I bounce back or not on the internet. Buy the dip on the Comcast internet. We'll see if it can keep hanging in there. Does seem unstable. Let me know in the chat if I start stuttering or kind of getting out of connection here. All right, let's get back to the action on Tesla. I'm going to take the drawings off here to really just take a perspective, really, right? The perspective here is that Tesla yesterday went towards the 190s. What was happening here? We got a close that was above the 9 EMA, was looking to see if that 9 EMA would break today, and then we'd get a close of the price action below the 9 EMA. Not what we're getting. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Tesla is in a bullish setup right now, and I got to be careful, right? Because I got in this one up here at 211.31s. So just to put perspective here, I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle here. I'm going to take off the ones that I had. Well, let me just kind of delete that one. All right, so we're up there at the 211s. There's two things that I can do here, right? I could run towards the profits, or I could let the trade continue to work. Remember, I leveled in those rewards, so I was looking for it to continue down through that 190, going to 175. And if I do get stopped out on the remaining shares after I've already taken 3 profits on Tesla, I'm going to go ahead and just let that last little bit break even on the rest. Because if for any reason we weren't to go through that 210, 211, 212 area, break out towards like 220s, I think this would come back down towards the 190s, and then we would see if it breaks there. Like always, you got to determine how you're going to approach these swing trades on the remaining shares. Are you going to be a type of person that levels out of the position and then make sure that you don't get into risk? Or are you the type of person that if the trade position is going to come back to you, you're just going to run towards the profits? In my eyes, I really like to let trades work for me. So that's what it's all about. Be careful, dude. I have sleepless nights in NG. Yeah, natural gas, it can do that for you, team. It can do that. We'll see what happens if we can get back above the 9s, right? That's why I'm in a smaller position, but we'll see what happens. Easy, here's a UNG trader. We'll see what happens, team. We'll see what happens in natural gas. All right, getting out of the Tesla trade, let's look at some setups for today. You guys in the chat, this is where you guys get an opportunity also. If you guys see some swing trading setups, maybe some daily charts that look really good, those are the ones I look for. Really, swing trades for me start at the daily level, and then entries, I go and try to use some of my day trading ability to try to master into the trade, right? Try to get the best price that I can on that intraday action. And a lot of the times, I'm going more off of a daily outlook than the intraday outlook. Let's get to the action. Scaling in and out is smart. Definitely. I think it's the only way to go, especially when you're swing trading, because in this market, you never know if you're going to be able to get your profits or not. And in this market, I've talked about it. It seems like the range trade is almost a better trade right now than the continuation trade. You don't see that often. All right, let's see what else is going on. We could still make some trades here towards the close. I can make some trades right now. So let's go to it. I have some ones that I'm looking at, and I want to go ahead and take a look. See if maybe I take a trade right now. You guys smash the like button. Let's go through them. All right, let's get to the action. Let's go to the first one that I want to take a look at, which is ITW. ITW is Illinois Tools Works. So look at this chart, team. If you can see here, we've gone up there on Tuesday, the 2nd, to 252. Actually going to get a pullback here towards the VWAP on ITW. I kind of like this pullback right here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a starting position here. So starter on, let me see if I get it. Boom. All right, starter on ITW. Just took a little bit of a starter there. Just as I explained the trade, because I definitely don't want to miss this, was looking for a pullback to VWAP. But, you know, the show was getting started. It was up here towards 238.70s. So I'm going to start risking here on this ITW towards the 236. Can layer in my orders here towards 237 and below. The lowest entry I'll probably get is around 236.50s. And then I'll look to risk off of that 236. Let's look at the daily perspective. Daily perspective is first, right? So we did get some bottoming action around the 235. We started pushing back. Are we going to get back into this 241 zone and back towards the 250s, right? That gives us at least a little bit more room for the upside action Now the only question is, can we get it to go up through the 240s, right? Monday's high, 240.52. That's going to be very important. If the market does want to take that breakout to the 420s, I think we might get the diversified industrials to take a little bit higher. Let's go looking at the diversified industrials as an overall industry, not necessarily just this stock. And I'll go ahead and show you guys that right now. So we look at industrials here. Let's go ahead and look to see where we get this. All right, diversified industrials here. So of course you guys can do this by high capitalization. I always look for leaders, laggards style trade, right? Well, Honeywell started looking like it wanted to break down from the 200. This one also looks like an easy swing if it holds 200. Look at the bottoming levels here on the 198s. If it gets through that level, it could break down. But if it pops back up here, could get back up there towards the 220. Honeywell is been strong, holding back the 50% retracement of the recent move. GE continuing higher. That's making me feel a little bit more like this could get the little lift. And then I look at ITW and I'm like, well, it doesn't look that bad here, right? At least I have some levels to go off. The only question is, will we get back there towards that high? And we could find maybe that this resistance over here kind of acts as resistance towards a 248 range. That still leaves room up there to come back and fill this gap towards the upside. You filled it on the downside. Now let's see if we come right back to the name. So I just got the starter there. Let's get back to the action. I'm going to go ahead and try to layer in some right underneath this. So a lot of the times what I'll do here is I'll also use a percentage way to where I'm looking at percentage right now. And I'm starting to try to get the stock down below. So I can do it on the bid or the ask. Doesn't really matter. But I start going up a couple of percents down. So the first one I'm going to do here is going to be a little lower than this. We're going to go 237.79. And I'm adding in here. I'm doing it by fifths, right? I'm doing it by fifths so I don't get too crazy too early. So then 237.56. And then I'll go down there towards 237.32s. So there you guys see it. I got about 4 already set up there for the layering. If it wants to pull back, we'll get some fills. We'll see what happens there. Getting out of ITW in the trade today. Let's keep it going. Let's go towards the next one that I want to take a look at, which is US Steel. Let's talk a little bit about that. And why is steel moving today? That's what I want to see in the chat. Does anyone know why steel is moving? I'll throw it out to you guys, at least a question, and I'll give you guys the insight on what I saw. Well, yesterday I was taking a look around and I saw Stephanie Link give me some good insight. If you guys don't know Stephanie Link, of course, she's the chief investment strategist and portfolio manager at Hightower Advisors. And she gave out some really good information yesterday on her Twitter. And if you guys don't have that, that's at Stephanie_Link. So check that out. But she gave me the insight. She told me about this, that I wanted to keep a close eye on it. That she said Cleveland Cliff, Nucor raising their price by 50 for flat rolled steel products. This is following a $50 increase earlier and 5 hikes since November. So that's what put steel on the radar for me. We'll see if we can get it a little bit higher, going up into the 30s. I was looking for a pullback towards 29 today. It already broke out above the 29. So I'll look for a pullback on this one. I could jump in it here, but I just feel like I'm getting it a little bit extended right now. I wanted to go ahead and pull back below 29s. And then I'll definitely start looking for this daily to start pushing through to the 31s. And if we look overall on the industry outlook, you guys can see how steel did do a little bit of a pullback, now starting to push up. And we'll look to see if it can continue getting the lift. In a few minutes, we'll talk a little bit about this and maybe some other names in steel. So I do want to get out of that. But X, definitely an interesting stock as it starts to lift. And of course, you can watch the names that were mentioned, right? We'll talk a little bit about those coming up. All right, getting out of that steel talk, let's go back to the overall market. How are we doing? Are we going to be able to get out of the hourly range? Hourly range is that breakout through the 415. I had this trend line drawn since very early in the day. I drew this earlier on the I drew this actually in the pre-market when we were talking about it and we were looking for the push up there towards 415. And I don't know if you guys caught that double top there at the 415, but that definitely was a nice little double top on the 5-minute there. We'll look to see if we get back through that. If we get back through that, I'm going to look for the breakout. And if we can't get the breakout, back down through 408s would be the worry. Of course, this is my rule of 3. I talk about this often. I don't want to get too much into it, but the key there is 3 tries the resistance, 3 support holds. Then on that 4th attempt for the big breakout, that's what I'll look for it to give that lift. And if it doesn't, a lot of times they'll come back and test support. That's when I'll start looking for the breakdown. All right, let's go to Microsoft, as I thought this was a very important level to keep watch. Did you guys see how the 270s were acting up today? Look at this chart. Look at the hourly. You can see how we keep trying to get back up there towards the 275. Came back multiple times today to try to break that 270. This is on the hourly chart. Look at all those wicks down there. 269.50s, 269.28. 270.19. So it looks like we finally started holding into that 270. If 270 breaks, I think you come right back down. But if you hold 270, you could start pushing back into the longer term trend. And then Microsoft actually looks good, right? I mean, overall, just technically wise, this isn't looking as bad as it was definitely when it was back here around the 230s. Now it's back to 270 and starting to push. One of the strongest charts of them all is definitely Apple. I would have to give it to them. They've held up through all this downturn. They really haven't really gotten crushed. And they're only about what? They're only about 17% from the highs there. Apple could push at any moment through 160. That's definitely not a chart that I'm going to get in front on the bear side anytime soon. All right, we'll see what happens there on Apple and some of these other names. Like always with swing trades, you just got to be careful. One of the things that I always try to do with swing trades is be tight early and then let the trade work for me after that. NVIDIA still remaining strong. Be careful out there with that one. That's an absolute monster right now. And then AI. AI was one that I was looking at to just think about swing trading. But my problem with AI here is that I try my best not to swing trade names that I don't have any type of story or fundamental conviction on, right? And what does that mean? Is that it's just more a kind of worry for me, right? Because AI, does it really deserve to be up here at $20, $30, $40? I don't know. And when I look into the fundamentals, it's not there. And so I try my best not to swing trade stocks like this, where it could be, $6 off, 20, 30% the next day. But it is doing a little bit of a setup on that pullback. We'll just look to see if it can recover that kind of 9 EMA, get back up there to the 28s. I know I'm not running in front of this by any means, but like always, want to put things on the radar for you guys. And the last area that I just want to take a quick peek in is healthcare. And mainly I'm looking at biotechs, right? I've been watching this IBB for a while. It started to go sleepy, just been sideways. Will we get another move up? So I'm keeping an eye on a stock like Moderna. Moderna looks good for me for a swing here. The only thing I'm going to look for is pullbacks because I don't want to jump in at 175. Would much rather get closer towards this 170 where I could really start trying to risk off of that 170. But it looks pretty strong here. And I just got to keep an eye on these, especially like some of the leaders in the biotech space, right? You guys can see VRTX has pulled back significant. This looked interesting for me for a move back towards 320s. BIIB, Biogen, a lot of levels right on top of it. 290 still acting as resistance. We'll look to see if we get through that. And BNTX really kind of showing a little bit of a turnaround there. I wouldn't get in front of the BNTX because I just don't like them overall. But Moderna, I feel like can come back, and they do have other products other than just the COVID vaccine, right? That's why I don't like BNTX, but we'll see what happens in Moderna if we can get back to 200. And I'll look for pullbacks closer towards that 170. Would need to risk down here towards the support, maybe 162, 165. But I see it closer towards 162. It's a little bit of ways from here. I'll look for a pullback on that for opportunity. All right, getting out of Moderna, like always, you guys can call out some trades in the chat. I'm going to really quickly see if there's anyone that you guys mentioned with. I see one that Chad's talking about. We'll talk a little bit about that. See you guys calling out some different names. Vix called out in the chat. No fear there. Vix in the toilet. Well, we'll see. And when the VIX comes down, you guys know it. One of the things is I think the VIX really just gives us more kind of edge when it's at extremes, right? Either extremes on the bottom or extremes at the top. Right now, extremes on the bottom, showing right now that you can look for that upside action. We'll just look to see if we get it. TGTX, EQT. That one's not a bad one. Let's take a really quick look here before we get Christian on. I know he's in the background, so I want to get him on. But look at this pullback now down towards the 30s. It has broken a little bit here, right? If you look at the monthly chart, it looked like it was in kind of a symmetrical triangle, put a big candle down. I would have wanted it to be closer towards 40 than all the way down here towards 30. So I would look for a little bit of retracement, at least for it to start showing me some strength. It doesn't look too bad. At least you're getting some increased volume down here. So that's not a bad outlook, but definitely needs to start coming back. This one has been out of favor since early December. If anything, slightly before. Yeah, December 1st is really when it started getting out of favor. Needs to start climbing back some of this worry. And we'll see what happens there in the EQT. All right, getting out of my charts, like always, I'm going to be able to point to directions where I see trades. But like always, we want to go ahead and bring on other traders to see what they see. And one thing that I recommend for you guys out there is always have a group of traders that you feel trade similarly. What does that mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be going to strategies that you trade, but things that you look at, right? Whether that be like for me, I pay attention a lot in industries and sectors. So I'm looking for relative strength. Well, I love to have some followers or some profiles that I follow, of course, on Twitter that keep up with all the relative strength. There's very few that I'll tell you right now I watch daily, and one of them is coming up right now. Let's bring him on here. Christian Fromhertz, Tribeca Trade Group. You guys know who he is. Welcome back on, Christian. How we doing today? Oh, the old mute button. No worries.
There we go. Hey, how's it going, Mitch?
Not too bad. It's good to have you on, Christian. Let's go ahead. Let's look into the markets. Like always, I keep up with everything you do, and I think it's very important to have traders that truly support each other and look around, right? Because one of my things is not necessarily that I'm looking for other traders to tell me trades, but a lot of the times I'm looking for certain areas that are showing pockets of strength. And then I see you mention a stock in that industry that just goes and gives me a little bit more conviction to look in the industry to see if there's any leader laggard style trades, any opportunities in the industry. Let's go to what you're looking at, Christian.
Can I share this? Can I share the screen?
Yeah, of course. Let's do that.
Cool?
That's always better.
By the way, I love. Thank you for the very nice intro. While I figure this out, and share screen. There we go. I'll just bring in. I'll just show charts. But I love the pace of you going over charts, and I was listening to your broadcast when it started, and you were talking about hey, I took off this, these are some trades I got stopped out in and so forth. It's so important because you're concentrated on your risk first, right?
Yeah,
everybody
definitely.
always wants to jump to, hey, what's moving and what, what's the latest, what's the latest thing, what's the trade. But I love the fact that you're concentrating as well on, what's, what you have to worry about, and perhaps taking those trades off so that you don't get buried in them, right? I mean, you can't concentrate on the, you want to be concentrating on the road ahead, but at the same point, like, you can't just leave the trades that, didn't work out, because you can't hide them. They're not going to go away. And the more you could focus more on that road ahead, which is exactly what you should be doing as a trader. Once you kind of get the things off your balance sheet, your books that are not working and that have either hit stop. So I really like that you're, talking about trades that didn't work out, because we all have them. I mean,
Hmm.
coming into a day like this, either you decided to kind of position light or position, have some, positioning going on, but you've got to adjust to what the market is giving you. So in front of you, just this is just the S&P chart, and we're not really doing much. We try to break out, on that first hour of the the trade. This is S&P futures, so right after the CPI report came out, we had a jump in there, and then we kind of tested both sides of this value area for the week. I'm using volume at price on this is one of the indicators that I use, but you could see we're exploring the range, both on the upside and the downside, perhaps shaking people out a little bit, ruffling some feathers today, and then we're basically just back to where we started the day. But again, this is why we trade single stocks, is because if you were just trading the S&P, you probably over the last couple of hours were like, hey, well, there's not much really going on. You dig into the relative strength, which I heard you mention as well, and there's a lot of interesting things going on. And it really makes me think, because, of course, we're hearing about, the possibility of more rate hikes as the inflation data is out there, and 20 million Fed speakers kind of saying the same thing, which they say that, hey, we've got to get inflation down. But it really makes you think, if they were not raising interest rates, right? We've heard all this talk about, and I don't want to debate like whether or not we're going into a recession or not, but some of the stocks that we're seeing like really move, from names that reported this morning, just a couple of these things like Global Foundries, which, said that their business is doing well, right? So this is a chip name, and you go kind of just around this sector. And this is Lattice Semiconductor that also reported, and this is a thinner name, but man, I mean, this is up 8%. And then what's the other name that reported? Cadence, right? Which is also, I mean, this name is breaking out, like, you know, on a longer term frame. This is the weekly chart of Cadence, but I'm not in any of these names. But I kind of just use this for like a proxy, because not only is it this week, I got
Yeah.
very bullish on the semiconductors a couple weeks ago, and I think one of the first one that we started to see, like in earnings, that it was like, oh, the quarter was okay, and the price reaction was very good, was NXPI, and then we've seen other names that just have followed, like a Skyworks Solutions,
Yeah.
so it's been pretty impressive, and then you got AMD mixed in there too. And you got some of the smaller names too. So I mean, like the semiconductors, I think it's tough for me to really be um, bearish when I see this price action in the semiconductors. I think it's a pretty
Agree.
bullish look.
Yeah, the one that I just talked about just recently, don't know if you caught it, but it looks like it's getting a nice drive right now. As a matter of fact, is Micron, because
Yeah,
it's been kind of hanging down here, while the other ones are kind of taking off. A little bit of more of that laggard effect. Of course, this was kind of the first one that took the hit before even
right.
Nvidia. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Nvidia's climbed the wall of worry. Will Micron be able to climb that wall of worry?
Yeah, so I mean, so here's what I'm watching in Nvidia. This was kind of interesting, because where this closed, I tweeted this chart out like last Thursday.
Hmm.
When I'm looking at the weekly chart, we're looking again. This box here is the value area for 2023, which is based on all of 2022's volume at price activity. So it becomes very significant when we can get over and get above the range or the value area, because then we're now onto like a trending market or a trending name versus just trading sideways. So this name stalled like right at that top of value last week. Again, developing weekly bars so far, and I can't believe it's just Tuesday so far.
Yeah.
But this is on a really nice start. I mean, it did this last week too, and it gave it back. So perhaps this time it's more for real move. It also hit one of these red lines, which is a virgin point of control, which is kind of like overhead supply. But I think this could go up to 240. And I know that you guys covered the AI stock so much. I mean, there's been so many, like, I call them like fancier stocks that have been kind of
Yeah.
moving, and exciting names, like an AI. But really, like, this is a nice day trading stock, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Nvidia is a name that I think will benefit from the trend in, companies focusing on the trend. They make these chips. So I think it's a great place to kind of be. And I'm not long the name yet, but this is a name that I want to add like long term. I've managed two different portfolios, and this one will kind of go more in the longer term portfolio because I think that it's right in the wheelhouse of what they do. So this is a name that I'm definitely focused on.
Excellent. Let's
You
go
want-
ahead and wanted to ask you really quickly
Yep.
a little question. There is especially you kind of stating it. And for stocks like that, are you the type of trader that doesn't like to be kind of overnight action on a stock like AI versus a stock like Nvidia, where we probably can sleep at night knowing that it's not going to disappear?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It really depends on your personal like risk tolerance. For
Hmm.
me, no, I mean, and if I were to do it, like it's all about position size. Like,
Hmm.
so if I were to take, leave a position on in AI, I would love to have like started a position, let's say for today, and then take some profits in it.
Yeah.
Then I feel like, hey, I've already locked in profits, and I can kind of mess with the tail end of the position, but it would be a small position too because this name just jumps around, and you don't know when like everybody's going to jump off the bandwagon of
Hmm.
this AI train, and like this and a couple of the other smaller ones, the junior AI, what is it, BBAI, it is.
BBAI,
Yeah, yeah.
sound.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so you got to be quick. And like, so
Yeah.
that's why, like, I wouldn't want to get caught if they decide, hey, we're going to get out of this group. And, this name has already come all the way back in from 650 to 416. So you can see it. I have support here at 360 if you wanted to really trade it. And, of course, that's one way that you could look at it too with this price of stock is that you could only lose $4. It's almost like an option trade. But so that's another way that you could do it too. And you could say, hey, well, this is like an option trade. I can only lose $4, and that should help you determine your position size with something like that. And what's the other one? Sound.
Yeah,
Um,
SOUN
yeah.
is
So it
that one.
depends. If you like momentum, then this is the hot group right now, and we've certainly seen that. Um, from time to time, one area gets hot it gets hot and then gets cold, and then people kind of forget about it. But for longer term, yeah, I like things like Nvidia, which does well with this particular trend.
Excellent. Let's go to
Yep.
some maybe trades that we could look at looking
Sure.
forward, right? Let's go to it. There's one that we can definitely talk about. Let's go to Tesla, of
Tesla,
course.
sure. Yeah, we can.
Uh,
So
Full
what I find
disclosure,
yeah,
I'm
sorry.
still in this one. Just to give you that Christian outlook, I'm still in this one from 211.31 short,
Okay,
taking
got it.
all the pretty much. I just have a runner left.
All right. Well, I have a better idea for you if you're looking to short.
All right,
Well,
what
since
do you got?
you're already short, but so they have this event that's coming up on the
Hmm.
first, right? So it's their
Yeah.
investor day. What I typically notice for some of these, it's the same thing for like an Apple event or whatever company it is. But Apple does the events, Tesla does these events. There are a lot of times it's buy the rumor, sell the news, right? People get
Hmm.
excited. What are they going to unveil? It's better almost to trade the name into the event, and then when all kind of like, I hate to say the term retail investor because I'm a retail investor too. When all retail investors get excited about the event, those are usually when you want to be taking profits because it's already been built up. The stock has already made a run and it's already kind of priced in. So that's what I'm kind of anticipating. And I think this thing can run up to 223. And
Hmm.
that could, it's possible that could line up that it runs into 223, which is also the virgin point of control, an area of overhead supply, as well as the 200-day moving average. And then if you wanted to sell the event, you could sell the news at that 223. And your out would be is if, would be a little bit above that 200-day moving average. So again, you always
Yeah.
want to have that stop in there. But that's my thought. I don't trade Tesla a lot because it's such a passionate name, and I just don't have that type of passion. So I try to stay out of things that people are much more passionate about the name than I am.
Yeah.
But I really like the technical setup here, and there's also quite a bit of option activity on the tape as well. It feels like positioning into that event.
Love it. You can see clearly there. It's not just one of your variables that you look at, but multiple variables running
Yeah.
into there. And so that definitely helps a little bit more on the
Yeah.
conviction side.
I definitely like to have more than one reason. If you get two or three reasons why you like a name, it kind of just reinforces, the view and your conviction level. Rather than hey, there's option activity on the tape, right? That's kind of like, okay, I see option activity on the tape, and I don't know anything about a name. It's going to be a low conviction trade for me.
Definitely. And that's why we want to be also looking for kind of like positive confirmations, negative divergence in those indicators. I do see Captain Kirk saying the MACD lied to me. Well, maybe take a look, right? How's the price confirmation? Are you getting a divergence there from what the indicators are telling you and what the price is telling you? That can help you out. Let's take a look at some other ones. What else do you got for me, Christian?
All right, so a new trade that I started today. I know that you guys covered this name when it reported earnings, but Pakar.
Yeah, that was one that, man, I've been watching DE and Cats move for months now.
Yeah,
And I thought maybe could Picard get through 100? And then it does that split to make me a
yeah.
little
So
bit confused, but what do you see
yeah,
there?
I tried Caterpillar before we go to Pakar. Caterpillar, the earnings were good, but it just didn't have that reaction, and now it just feels like it's in
Yeah.
consolidation station a bit. So I'm watching it, but it just ran a little bit, I think, too much into earnings, and it hasn't really been able to get past or get back above like the 20-day moving average. Pakar, on the other hand, was a name that went sideways into their earnings, had strong earnings, and now has been consolidating. And I'm kind of trying to not anticipate, but I'm looking for this thing to kind of resolve back higher. I love the fact that it kind of came in, tested that 20-day moving average. That also lines up with my indicator at 71.66. And I like to use, you can see I'm kind of jumping back between multiple time frames. I
Mm-hmm.
got to see it get back above this. It almost did it, but I don't know if it's going to close there. We only have 12 minutes, but I'm looking for a close above 73.58 for confirmation purposes. That's this week's value area. And then I might actually add to my position because I started a position today, and would look to add on that confirmation of the break higher.
Love it. And I think this one does get a little bit confusing when they do that 3-for-2 split there. I think they were trying to keep themselves under 100. They just said, can we keep it
Oh, there
there?
was a split in this thing?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
I
a
didn't see
split.
that.
It actually got right there on specifically on the
3-for-2.
8th, 3-for-2.
Oh, okay.
The old 3-for-2 split. This was above
Interesting.
100. And so a little, my mentality on that was a little financing and engineering, knock it back down below 100, see if we
Trying to
can
make it
get it back
affordable.
up
Come
there.
on. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of traders out there. They just see triple digits and they're like, oh, I'm not touching that stock. But
Right.
hey, not a
I
bad
heard
setup there. Nice
I
daily
heard, can I
return.
talk about one more group and then
Let's do it. Let's
all
do
right.
it.
So you mentioned US Steel. I've been watching this one too, and Cliff's Resources, and I heard you mention Stephanie Link. She's a
Hmm.
great follow.
Definitely.
But I like again, I'm a little bit more I go right to the leaders when I'm for in my trading account. This
Yeah.
STL, there's three names that are so strong, and I mean, so I actually put this trade back on. I've been in and out of STLD, but I like the strength on this, and it just looks like every time this thing dips, it gets bought and it makes a new 52-week high. I love names that make more and more 52-week highs, right? That just means that they're breaking out. There's strength in the name. I also like this ATI. It's crazy. These things are like momentum tech stocks, but this is another steel and metals type name. This is Allegheny Tech. And this also had a little bit of dip after earnings, follow through on earnings, little extended, came back in here and rested a little bit, and continuing to move higher. Another one in this space is CMC, which is commercial metals. Right. So again, like another theme that sticks out to me, like I was saying with the semis, it's like
Hmm.
if we're supposed to, I don't want to keep dwelling on this. I'm sorry to bring it up, but you keep hearing about the possibility of recession and so forth. But when you look at the stocks, if you didn't listen, if you weren't hearing the financial media and so forth, you would say, hey, the semis, look very strong. They keep coming out with good earnings or good earnings reactions. The metals, steel names. I
Yeah.
mean, these are two areas that it's really tough to kind of argue with the price action to be like, hey, are we really in a bad situation with the semis doing well and the steel names? So I think it's a pretty positive looking market when you look at some of the areas that are outperforming.
Definitely, I would agree with that. And I mean, that's one thing that we got to just always keep in mind, right? The noise, the headwind, those are a lot of kind of the long term talk, right? Not really the short term or even in the medium term where we trade, right? And a lot
Right.
of that, we need to be kind of more just watching that price action, sticking with it, and not trying to create bias, right? Because I think that's what happens often is you start creating this bias that you think the market should do something, and that's really when we start getting into trouble. I wonder what you think about kind of how do you feel about the industrials overall? Because I feel like that's an
Yeah.
area that gets confused often.
So I do like the industrials. We just talked about Caterpillar, which is fine. That name's not really
Yeah.
performing, but I've been in Boeing. I really like the aerospace group.
Yeah.
Boeing just needs to get like longer term. I took a healthy target today, but 220 is a sticking point. But I really like this group. I was listening to, I don't know where they spoke, but Airbus spoke somewhere
Hmm.
like at a conference, and they were saying that they have to increase production to try to meet up with with basically the market. So to me that means that there's really strong demand. Reading between the lines a little bit, there's got to be really strong demand in this space. And I just try to book a flight yesterday, and there's no change. These flights are so expensive now. Again,
Yeah.
airlines different than the companies that make the parts, but if the airports are continuing to be busy and people taking flights, then uh, the airlines are going to have to continue to upgrade, to
Yeah.
new planes and so forth. So I like the group. I like what's going on. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen, but that's okay. I
You're
got to
okay.
run.
No worries. It's all good,
But
Christian.
but again, if you look like a Spirit Airlines is strong.
Yeah.
There's another one too.
UAL, American Airlines, they
Yeah,
keep holding, and
how,
UAL had really good earnings.
yes, and Copa is another one. Copa Holdings, CPA. This
Hmm.
one's just freshly breaking higher today. No,
Yeah.
did they have I'm not sure if they had earnings today. No, they have earnings this week. But I mean,
Interesting.
it's again, we're just seeing it's not just one company. It's a few companies like the semis. I like to see that strong breadth within a sector or a group.
Definitely. I know that's one thing you always keep watch. I appreciate you coming on. Christian Farmhertz, Tribeca Trade Group. I threw up the link there for you guys to check out Tribeca Trade Group. Want you guys to go ahead and take a look. One of the things that we want to do here, and especially you guys know I'm always about trying to be transparent, is where you guys can have resources and a true supporting community. I definitely think Christian is one of those communities that you guys can be a part of. So check out Tribeca Trade Group. We'll have you back on, Christian.
Thanks,
Take
Mitch. A
care.
lot of fun. Good luck for the rest of the day.
All right, there's Christian out of here, and you guys know he's getting ready. He's closing up the day. It's 3:54. We got about 6 minutes left here, so you guys smash the like button if you guys enjoyed that interview. Let's go ahead and take a look. Christian bringing us different plays there, and that's what it's really all about. You guys in the chat, you guys can always reach out if you guys got any trades. Reach out to me at MoneyMitchBZ on my Twitter. Send me the chart. Send me the play. I'll bring it here on Start Swing Trading. All right, let's take a look into the market before the close here. I did get an ad there on ITW. I got actually 2 ads on the pullback there. Now we're starting to get a little bit of a bounce there in ITW. So just to put it in perspective, got the ads there, right? Talked about it. We first got the first one. Let me go ahead and scroll up here so I can give you guys the actual entries here. 238.20s. Right. And then now we were starting to line in there. So that's kind of going to be up here towards this entry. And on the pullbacks there, got 237.77 and 237.45, especially that pullback here towards the 45. Now getting that nice little push towards the close. We're looking good in this swing trade. We'll find out how this one turns out. Really want to just keep an eye on it. It's going to be more of a daily outlook for a move back here towards the 245. That'll be the first profits through that move. And if we can get back there to 248, we'll see what happens in this diversified industrial play. UNG also looking good here as it's starting to close up there towards the 887. Look for natty gas to continue the move there. And Tesla could be stopping me out, team. And it does look like it's trying to make that move. It will stop me out as it gets back there towards the 211s. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I could see myself stopping out. But like always, I could either just take it off right now or keep it the way I play it, which is break even. House money on this. Not going to lose a single dime of the profits that I've already made. Just playing with a little bit of house money. We'll see what happens there. All right, there's the link there in the chat, Sam. If you guys want to check out Tribeca Trade Group, let's keep going. We're going to wrap up the day here. It's 3:56, couple minutes left. If you guys got any tickers you guys want to check out, throw it up in the chat. We can take a look at what stocks are coming up on the earnings calendar tonight. You got Airbnb, right? We got Airbnb. We got Suncor, Devon Energy here. We'll see what happens with this one. GoDaddy. We'll see. Airbnb, can it get the lift? Airbnb is one that I'm going to be looking at. And I'll tell you right now, team, I've been having this line drawn for a very long time. A lot of times I draw lines and I draw like a green line to tell me, hey, Mitch, it's okay to look at this stock, but wait for it to come back through this level first. Then we can start taking an approach that we want to attack it. I did want Airbnb back when we did this move towards the 172. I ended up getting stopped out in this move on that breakout. Wasn't able to get it. And they said, well, when it comes back around, Mitch, you'll take a shot. So now back above 125s, 123 area. Drawn this since May 13th, 2022. Let's see if we can get back up there. Get a nice earnings report here on Airbnb and start making a move up. What gives me the feeling that we might get a good report is Marriott. Look at Marriott go, team. What a nice push here with a stock that had earnings today. So there's a nice little lift here. And that's not a bad looking chart at all. And that shows me more and more that I want to keep paying attention to a stock like Airbnb, which has a lot of traders that are underwater, more than likely, but we're coming back to that IPO spot, right? We're coming back towards those lows right around 120s. Can we get back into that? Get to the 130s. I'll keep this one on my radar. And just to mention, we did talk about the airlines there. Look at the setup here on American Airlines as we're getting that sideways action around the 16. Got that gap of support below it, right? Looks like a breakaway support there. We'll look to see if it can get back up there towards 1750s and 18s. If it does make that move, it's going to be gone by that time. So I might be looking at this one tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe this becomes more of a day trade than a swing right now. I was waiting for a move back towards 15. Never got it on American Airlines, and it looks like it's trying to continue moving. We'll see what happens. Overall, let's go to the SPY right now. SPY is pulling back a little bit from the resistance on the hourly. We talked about that trend line, right? We got back up there towards it. Now pulling back a little bit. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow to see if we can break through the 415s and the 417 on the upside. That's going to do it for me today, team. 359. You guys smash the like button. Let me know what you guys like and don't like about start swing trading. Like always, one of the things, this is a brand new show. I want to do things that you guys want to see. Like always, you guys can give me feedback. You guys can email me, mitch@benzinga.com, or you guys can hit the comments below, or just hit up shows@benzinga.com. Whichever works for you. I want to get the feedback to make this show better and, of course, bring you more what you guys want to see. Hope you guys enjoyed some swing trading setups. Talked about the ones that stopped me out. Took another trade here today, ITW, but going to keep watch on different trades like steel, how those are doing. You guys heard Christian. He's taking a look at Steel Dynamics, STLD. That's been one of the favored ones. I'm looking at X. Can I get it back down below 29s? We'll keep an eye out on that. And then Nucor has been really strong, right? We'll see what happens on these steel plays. Like always, you guys can smash the like and keep up with all the action right here on Start Swing Trading. We'll see you next time, team. Definitely smash the like up. Up next, what time is it here? It's 4 o'clock. It's Tuesday. That means we'll get you guys to some cannabis insider action coming up next. You guys want to check out some cannabis action? See what's going on in the industry? Find out from the Cannabis Inside team. Of course, we got our cannabis conference coming up in Miami at the Fountain Blue. You don't want to miss that, team. Don't know if you guys gotten your ticket already, but if you're in Miami or want to travel down south, get some fun in the sun, and also a great cannabis event, catch it, team. That's coming up next. Don't go anywhere.